A surprise at the end. The village of Shadow Woods was known for its dense forests that swallowed sunlight and created the impression of eternal night. On the edge of this forest, hidden behind old trees and covered in ivy, stood an abandoned cottage. Locals said that the building was cursed and once belonged to a family that mysteriously disappeared years ago. Miroslav, an architecture student, was fascinated by the history of forgotten buildings. One day, he heard the legend of the cottage and decided to explore it with his friends Daria, Vlad, and their mutual acquaintance, Ivan. Each of them had their own reasons for joining. Daria craved adventure, Vlad wanted to film a horror documentary, and Ivan was always seeking out mystical experiences. On a gloomy evening, the group arrived at the cottage. The sun was already hidden behind the trees, casting long shadows that looked like ghosts. The old house appeared abandoned from a distance, but its windows seemed to watch the intruders intently. Miroslav approached the door first, which creaked open by itself. Inside, they were greeted by dusty furniture, cobwebs, and the scent of dampness. The walls were adorned with paintings whose eyes seemed to follow their every move. Ivan took out his camera and started filming. Daria looked around nervously, feeling a chill run through her despite the still air. As they explored the house, Vlad stumbled upon a door leading to the basement. The hallway that led down was lined with ancient symbols that Ivan recognized from old books. He whispered, "These are protective markings, but against what?" In the basement, they found an old altar covered in dried blood and melted wax. Suddenly, Vlad's flashlight went out, plunging them into darkness. From the depths of the room came a low growl that turned into a mournful wail. Daria gasped as her hand brushed against something cold and slimy. Miroslav hurried to turn on his phone's flashlight, revealing walls covered in words, "We are here, and we are waiting." A thumping noise and running footsteps echoed through the hallway, freezing them in place. A shadow appeared in the basement doorway, growing rapidly until it became a tall, faceless man. His arms reached out toward Vlad, who felt his breath catch in his chest. Ivan tried to help but was thrown back by an unseen force. Daria tried to pull Miroslav away, but he stood frozen, staring at the shadow. The faceless figure leaned in and whispered, "You know what awaits you." Ivan and Daria snapped Miroslav out of his trance, and the group bolted from the basement. Screams followed them as if the wind itself were trying to grasp them. As they burst out into the open, the first rays of dawn pierced the darkness. They looked back. The cottage had vanished, leaving only an empty clearing among the trees. Vlad never picked up a camera again, while Ivan began studying rituals that could open pathways to shadow realms. Daria became quiet, avoiding all talk of that night. Miroslav often returned to the forest, hoping to understand what he saw and whether he remained the same after that night. And he always felt watched, as if someone was observing him from the depths of the dark.